All right. So this is Ed Puzzle 41, and we are solving a system by elimination. So this is part 2. If you haven't done Ed Puzzle number 40, you need to do number 40 first because this is part 2. So last time what we did was we multiplied one of the rows, one of the equations, and then from there we were able to eliminate and solve for one of the variables. Remember that a system is going to have 2 equations, 2 variables. You can't solve for them at the same time. So we need to solve for one, and then we can solve for the other. So this is part 2. And so we know the y value, and I'm going to show you what you do with this y value now. So the first thing you do is you eliminate one of the variables. So you solve for one of the variables. Thank you. Once you have that variable, it's going to be y equals x equals. So what we're going to do in this video is you will have to solve for the first variable, but we also are going to substitute to solve for the second variable. That's what we're doing in this video. So we're going to use the examples from the last video and then finish solving for x and y because we're trying to find the solution. The solution is x and y, where the graphs cross, where they meet. And this is without a graphing calculator. So let's take our paper. This is from last time, the examples that you had to do. So if you haven't done Ed Puzzle 40, do Ed Puzzle 40 first before you continue with this Ed Puzzle number 41. So we know that the y is -3. And so what we're going to do is replace the y letter for the number that we have here, which is -3. And we're going to solve for x. So we're going to write x minus 3y equals 10. Please make sure you have your notes so that you can submit them and get a grade for them. All right, and so we know the y value is -3. So instead of putting y, we're going to write the number, which is -3. So we're going to write x minus 3. And then in parentheses, we're going to write -3. Then we're going to write equals 10. So we need to multiply -3 times -3. That's a positive 9. And so then we're going to solve. So it's x plus 9 equals 10. What does that x value have to be? I need to move this 9 to the other side to make a 0 pair. It's the same digit, different sign. So right here, 10 minus 9 is 1. So my x value is x equals, let's bring this x down. That's 0, that's gone. X equals 1. So my y value, my solution, is 1, comma, -3. That's my answer. And so now I'm going to give you a minute to try the next one. So what I did, I had to solve for the y first by eliminate. Then I'm going to substitute, change the y to the -3. -3 times -3 is 9. I move the 9 over because I need to solve for x. -9 minus 9. 10 minus 9 is 1. X equals 1. So my x is 1. My y was -3. I got this from what we did in Ed Puzzle 40. So let me show you another example. So with this one, we got that y was -5. So now we're going to put -5 in place of y and then solve for this x. I'm going to show you the full length problem with number 3. Let me show you number 3 real quick. So my y was 2. I'm going to change it in place of this y, and I'm going to solve. Okay, that's what you're doing. The y put in place of the number in place of the letter. So let me do an example with you from beginning to end to make sure everybody understands. Okay, so we're going to do 2 examples together, and then you'll do some examples on your own. Alrighty. Remember, the goal is to make a 0 pair so that we can eliminate. That's the first step. We need to make a 0 pair. That's the same digit, different signs. One's positive, one's negative. So what we're going to do is we're going to see if we have a 0 pair already. All right, so in this example, we want to look for a 0 pair. So these are not a 0 pair. These are the same digit, but one's positive, one's positive. And they both need, one needs to be positive, one needs to be negative. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to multiply this one by -1 to create the 0 pair that I need. And that's my very first step, is to create my 0 pair. So I multiply all of this by -1 so that this can change to a negative. That's the whole point. So I multiply -1 times 7. What's -1 times 7? -7x. -1 times 2 is what? -2y. -1 times 24 is -24. So then this, I just copy the second one. Christian, I can hear it, and then it's going to record. All right, so then I'm going to add them. So now I can eliminate. It's just it picks up on all the audio. So this is eliminated. That's 0. That's a 0 pair. So what do I have left over? A -7 plus 8 is what? 1x. 24, -24 plus 30 is what? 6. So 1x, x equals 6. So that's the first step. Okay, made the 0 pair, I eliminated. Now I know what x is. Now I'm going to use this x number. I'm going to put it back in the equation to see what the y value is. This is only part 1. We need to get the y value now. So 7x plus 2y equals 24. Instead of putting this x letter, I'm going to put the number, which is 6. So 7 times 6 is 42. Okay, I'm going to solve for the y. So what needs to happen is the y needs to be by itself. So I need to move the 42. On this side, it's minus 42. What's 24 minus 42? -18. Bring down the 2y. So what I need to do next is divide. I divide everything by 2, and I get y equals -9. Okay, that's what you're doing each time. You're going to solve for the x by eliminating, then you're going to substitute the x value and solve for the y. That's what you're going to do each time. All right, so let's do the next one. Yes, this one. And then you're going to do some examples by yourself. Oh, I wrote it wrong. All right, copy this one. Let's see if we have a 0 pair. Because if we have a 0 pair, that makes it faster. Okay, so if you look at this one, you can see that we have a positive and a -4. Same digit, different sign. So that should alert you that we have a 0 pair. So we don't have to multiply anything for this one. You got really lucky, and this is already a 0 pair. So what we're going to do is now add the rest of this to solve. So what is -2 plus 8? Positive 6y. What is -12 plus -24? -36. And so we're going to solve this. Because we just have the y, we don't have anything else. What are we going to do? We're going to divide. We don't need to move anything over. We're going to divide, and y equals -6. Now we're going to take this value and we're going to substitute it for the y letter in the problem to get the x. We have the y this time, And so now we're going to get the x. So let me zoom out. Okay, so we're going to write 4x plus 8y equals negative 24. And instead of the y, I'm going to write negative 6. So 4x plus 8, instead of the y, I'm going to write the negative 6 that I had to solve for, equals negative 24. So 8 times negative 6 is negative 48, equals negative 24. So that's actually not supposed to be this big down. So what you're going to do is we need to move this over because we're solving for the x, and this is on the same side with the x, and you're not supposed to have that. So we need to move over this negative 48. How do I move a negative 48? Positive, the opposite, make a zero pair. So on this side, you're going to have plus 48. So what is negative 24 plus 48? Positive 24. Bring down the 4x. 4x equals 24. Then what do I do next? I divide. I divide by what's in front of the x, 4. So x equals 6. That's what you're going to be doing. I'm going to give you some example problems so that you can do the same thing. Okay, first one. So for this one, on number 1, do I have a zero pair? You do. You already have a zero pair, so go ahead and eliminate that. Okay, which one's your zero pair? The x or the y? The y, because one's positive, one is negative. So you're going to add the x values. What do you get? You're going to get 3x. Add 11 and 19. What do you get? What do you do next? Divide by what? So what does x equal to? Okay, now what do we do next? We're going to substitute. We're going to substitute this x for the letter x in the problem. So you can do this a couple of different ways. You could use the first one or the second equation. It's completely up to you. I'm going to use the first one. Sometimes one takes a little bit less time than the other one, but you're going to get the same answer. So x equals 10. So instead of x, you're going to write 10 minus y equals 11. So we need to solve. So what do I do here? I'm going to move this positive 10. How do I move a positive 10? Okay. What is 11 minus 10? 1. So negative y equals 1. What do I do next? Divide. What do I divide by? You don't see a number, but it's a negative 1 because there's 1 there. So what's 1 divided by negative 1? Negative 1. So now I have my x and I have my y. And that's what you're going to be doing in the rest of the problems. Okay. On number 2, do you have a zero pair? Can you eliminate something? The x or the y? The x. One's a positive, one's a negative. All right, add the y values. When you add the y values, what do you get? 4 and 5. Okay, now add 1 and negative 10. What do you get? Negative 9. What do I do next? Divide by what? 9. So what does negative 9 divided by positive 9 equal to? Very good. So now I have my y, and now I'm going to use that y. Would you like to use the first equation or the second equation? Okay, so let's plug this in to, doesn't really matter. I'm going to plug it into the second equation, and it doesn't matter which one. I just like to change it up. So what am I going to replace? The letter y, and what do I replace it with? The number, which is -1. So I'm going to write 6x plus 4. Instead of the y, what do I write? -1 equals -10. So multiply what's 4 times -1? It's -4. What do I do next? I'm going to solve, so I need to move something. What do I need to move? How do I move this +4? I'm sorry, how do I move a -4? Opposite sign. So what's -4 plus 6? -10 plus 6? -4 plus 4? -10 plus 4. I keep telling you the answer. You get -6. What do I do next? Divide by what's in front of the x. So x equals -1. So now I have both the x and the y value. All right, let's do a few more examples to make sure everybody gets it. In the next Ed puzzle, it's going to be more of a quiz format. All right, do I already have a 0 pair? I don't, so I'm going to have to multiply. You can see that these are the same digit, but they're different signs. So what should I multiply? It doesn't matter which one, but I'm going to do the bottom one. What should I multiply the bottom by to make them a 0 pair? One positive, one negative. I need to multiply by a -1 so that this can become positive, because a negative times a negative is a positive. Then I'll be able to get my new equation and I'll be able to solve. So negative times a negative would make what? Positive 4x, negative times a negative, positive 9x, 9y. Negative times a negative is positive 23. Okay, so the whole point of that is so that we can eliminate. So what can I eliminate, the x or the y? The y. And so now I'm going to add them. -2 plus 4 is positive 2x. -25 plus 23, 2. So what do I do next? I'm going to divide. I'm going to solve and divide by what? The 2. So x equals 1. Wording. So from here, I'm going to change this letter x for this number that is 1. So instead of the x, I'm going to write a 1. So I'm going to write -2, and I'm going to write a 1. Okay, a -2 times a 1 is -2, and then you're going to write the rest of it. Okay, so what do I need to do from here? I'm going to solve. What do I need to move? So I'm solving for the y, so I need to move this -2. How do I move a -2? With what? +2 comes to this side as a +2. So what's -25 plus 2? And -23. Bring down this 9, -9y. And then I do what? Divide. Divide by what? -9, -y. Y equals, this doesn't simplify, so it just stays -25. 23 over negative 9.